Thanks for the introduction, Stephanie. As I mentioned, my technical background helps me in a lot of ways, but really the perspective I'm bringing to you today is from the side of the principal investigator as we talk about these issues of grants management. So about this series in general, so it's pretty exciting, right, when the proposal has become a funded grant. And the excitement is there. You say, let's get on with the work. That's the emphasis. But in addition to the scientific responsibility the PI bears, there's this overall management of the project. And it's important because it's the research, sure, but also managing how that occurs is just as important. So finally, on that third bullet, what are those responsibilities and how is a PI supposed to know those things? So in this series, we were talking about giving information that will allow a PI to know what to do at the beginning to ensure a smooth running project. And your grants people, your Office of Sponsored Research will tell you, don't forget about the closeout at the end. Think about what we can do now to make that better. And inevitably, there's going to be adjustments or corrections for errors that just simply happen. So how does that work? And finally, and this does happen, what should the PI do? What are his or her responsibilities when the auditor comes? This series has 5 major topics, and today, as you can see, number 2 is cost and finances. And we'll talk about things like misallocations, purchasing, cost transfers, allowable costs, things of that sort. And you can see the other topics in the series coming up include monitoring with a focus on subawards, reportings and revisions, and finally, compliance, all the things a PI has to know and do in that area. As I mentioned, the point of view here is really the PI and his or her research team. That's the point of view, and that's where this series is unique. It talks about experience from PIs and how they manage some of these problems. So here's a slide. This is a funny slide, right? I don't know if you've seen that late night TV ad where that guy with the question marks on his suit says, oh, I'm going to sell you my booklet on how to get free money from the U.S. government. So that's where I came up with this little thing of get free money today. Grants aren't really like that, right? It's not free money in that sense, although sometimes the popular culture might think of it that way. So what would be the outcome of our series, of the outcome of today? We'd like to paint an idea of what successful grant project management looks like. And importantly, we'd like to catalyze discussions with your Office of Sponsored Programs. In my experience, that office, grants management, grants accounting, whatever it's called at your institution, can be a huge help in making things happen and correcting things when they don't happen correctly. And finally, a small disclaimer. I'm not an expert Office of Sponsored Programs person who knows every slight detail of these things, but really my point of view is, again, from the principal investigator. So I'm not an ultimate authority here. I'm just giving you my perspective. So let's look at the issues that come up with costs and finances. Now, these aren't necessarily ranked in priority order, but let's consider what they are.